In a small, dusty town nestled among rolling hills and vast fields, the Prairie Ranger was a beloved figure. Known for his bravery and strength, he roamed the land, always ready to protect the townsfolk from any danger that lurked in the shadows. With a wide-brimmed hat casting a shadow over his determined eyes, he was more than just a protector. He was a symbol of hope for all. Every resident respected him, recounting tales of his daring deeds around the evening fire. They spoke of how he once outsmarted a band of thieves trying to rob the local bank, and how he had saved children from wild animals on several occasions. The ranger moved like the wind across the prairie, with swift feet and an unyielding spirit. But beyond his legendary feats, what truly set him apart was his deep love for his community. He listened to their worries, helped solve problems, and always made time for a friendly chat. It was common to see him at the market, exchanging smiles or sharing advice with neighbors. As the sun dipped low in the sky, painting everything in shades of orange and pink, the ranger prepared for an event that had everyone buzzing: his wedding at dusk. Little did he know that this joyous occasion would soon be challenged by old rivalries rising to the surface, threatening to disrupt the peace he worked so hard to protect. As the sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the prairie, a banker named Mr. Johnson was making his way to town. He had just finished a crucial business deal and was eager to share the good news with the townsfolk at the ranger's wedding. However, as he crossed a muddy stretch of land known for its hidden perils, disaster struck. Without warning, Mr. Johnson slipped into a patch of quicksand. Panic surged through him as he felt himself sinking deeper, the thick mud grasping at his legs like an unseen predator. The more he struggled, the faster he went down, his heart racing with fear and disbelief. He called out for help, his voice echoing into the vast emptiness around him. The urgency of the situation became apparent when nearby farmers heard his cries. They stopped their work and rushed toward the sound, knowing that quicksand could quickly claim a life if no one came to save him. Every second counted as they searched for someone who could help. The Prairie Ranger was their only hope. Time felt like it was slipping away along with Mr. Johnson, and the day's earlier excitement faded into worry and dread. Would anyone reach him in time? The fate of the banker now hung in balance as people hurried to find their hero before it was too late. As word of Mr. Johnson's predicament reached him, the Prairie Ranger felt a rush of adrenaline. He quickly gathered his gear and sprinted toward the sound of frantic calls echoing across the prairie. With each stride, he pushed past the thick grass and uneven ground, his trained instincts guiding him through the treacherous terrain. The sun hung low, casting an amber glow that signaled the approach of evening, but there was no time to admire the beauty of the sunset. The ranger focused on what lay ahead, a patch of quicksand known for swallowing anything that dared to tread upon it. As he neared the desperate banker, he could hear the echoes of Mr. Johnson's "Please grow louder," mingling with the anxious murmurs of those who had come to help. Arriving at the scene, the Prairie Ranger assessed the situation in a heartbeat. He spotted Mr. Johnson nearly submerged, panic etched on his face. Without hesitation, the ranger grabbed a sturdy rope from his belt and called out directions to nearby farmers, who quickly formed a line to assist. With precise movements and unwavering determination, the ranger expertly tossed one end of the rope towards Mr. Johnson. "Grab hold!" he shouted, his voice steady amid the chaos. As he began to pull, every ounce of strength surged through him. This was not just a rescue. It was a battle against time itself. With the rope secured firmly in his hands, the Prairie Ranger steadied himself and beckoned to Mr. Johnson. The banker's terrified eyes locked onto him, filled with both hope and fear. "You can do this!" the ranger shouted, his voice cutting through the rising panic. "Grab the rope and hold tight." As Mr. Johnson reached for the rope, the mud clung desperately to him, but he managed to grasp it tightly. The ranger felt a surge of adrenaline course through him as he began to pull, his muscles straining with each backward step he took. The nearby farmers rallied together, forming a human chain, ready to lend their strength. "Pull together. On 3!" he called out, coordinating their efforts. As they all heaved in unison, it created a rhythm of hope against despair. 1, 2, 3. With renewed determination, they yanked back hard. Slowly but surely, Mr. Johnson's body emerged from the grip of the quicksand. His face covered in sweat and fear, but also relief. The teamwork was pulsating. Everyone felt like they were part of something much greater than themselves. Finally gasping for air, Mr. Johnson was freed from the clutches of the quicksand, collapsing onto solid ground as cheers erupted around him. The ranger knelt by his side, offering a hand of solidarity just as dusk began to settle over the prairie, a beautiful backdrop to their shared victory against danger. Breathing heavily, Mr. Johnson lay on solid ground, still trembling from his narrow escape. He looked up at the Prairie Ranger, gratitude flooding his eyes as he managed a weak smile. "Thank you," he gasped, his voice shaky but sincere. "I thought I wouldn't make it out of there." The tank of fear and panic began to dissipate as the banker gathered himself, sitting up and looking around at the concerned faces of the farmers who had helped him. "I was on my way to your wedding," he added, his brow furrowed in disbelief. "I wanted to share some good news about a loan for that new store in town, but I can't believe I almost missed it." A wave of laughter rippled through the group, mixed with relief that they had saved him in time. The ranger couldn't help but chuckle too, feeling the weight of worry lift slightly off his shoulders. "Well, now we have 2 reasons to celebrate," he declared, grinning at Mr. Johnson. As dusk began to blanket the prairie, the anticipation of love and joy turned into a shared story of adventure, one that would bind the banker and ranger even closer in their small community. The urgency of Mr. Johnson's rescue only deepened their connection to that special evening, reminding them all how fragile life could be amidst their everyday routines. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a warm golden light over the small town, the wedding scene unfolded like a beautiful painting. Colorful decorations adorned the open-air venue, with vibrant wildflowers arranged in rustic mason jars lining the wooden benches. Delicate ribbons fluttered in the gentle evening breeze, adding a whimsical touch that made the atmosphere feel both festive and romantic. Excited guests filled the area, their chatter mingling with the sweet melodies of a nearby fiddle player. Families and friends gathered together, dressed in their finest clothes, eagerly anticipating the moment they would witness the Prairie Ranger and his beloved exchange vows. Laughter echoed as children chased one another through the grass, their faces glowing with joy. The sky transformed into a canvas of deep oranges and soft pinks, creating a breathtaking backdrop for the ceremony. Each guest could feel the love in the air, a palpable energy that connected everyone present. As they settled into their seats, they shared stories and laughter, forgetting for a moment any rivalries or tensions that had lingered in the past. Meanwhile, at the front of the gathering, the Prairie Ranger stood tall, his heart filled with anticipation and love as he prepared to start this new chapter of his life. The day had already proven to be one of challenges and triumphs, but now it was time for celebration and unity as he awaited his bride against the fading light of dusk. As the festivities continued, a sense of unease crept into the air. Among the guests, a group of men stood together, their expressions darkening as they watched the Prairie Ranger from a distance. These were his longtime rivals, known throughout the town for their aggressive ways and bitter grudges against him. They had always resented the Ranger's popularity and authority, believing he had taken too much power in protecting the community. Their leader, a tall man with a scar running down his cheek named Cole, shifted his weight as he exchanged glances with his companions. "It should have been me marrying that girl," he muttered under his breath, bitterness seeping into his words. The others nodded in agreement, eyes narrowed as they plotted. The tension grew thick around them as they whispered about how to disrupt the wedding. They knew that this was their chance to make a statement against the Ranger, a chance to reclaim their influence in town. As the sun dipped lower and shadows stretched longer, Cole adjusted his coat, revealing a hidden weapon. Little did anyone know that beneath the celebration and laughter lay an undercurrent of conflict ready to erupt at any moment. The very peace and joy everyone hoped to enjoy that evening hung in precarious balance, threatened by old rivalries that refused to be forgotten. As the last rays of sunlight faded into twilight, the atmosphere shifted. Laughter and music filled the air, but unease bubbled beneath the surface. Cole and his group grew restless, their eyes fixed on the Prairie Ranger amid the joyous crowd. It was clear they were not content to let the day pass without making a statement. Steeling himself, Cole stepped forward, interrupting the merriment with a sharp whistle that cut through the cheerful noise. The guests paused, sensing the tension as he confronted the ranger. "You think you're a hero, don't you?" Cole sneered, his voice filled with contempt. "But let's see how brave you are when it truly counts." The ranger turned, his expression calm but unwavering. "This is a day for celebration, Cole. Don't turn it into something ugly." But the warning fell on deaf ears as Cole gestured to his companions, who shifted toward their leader, emboldened by their shared resentment. Words escalated into threats, and before anyone could react, Cole drew his weapon. Gasps rippled through the crowd as fear replaced happiness, shattering the festive spirit. The Prairie Ranger stepped forward, confronting Cole directly, his own hand resting on his sidearm. "It doesn't have to end like this," he stated firmly. Just as tensions reached a boiling point, it became clear that this wedding celebration was on the brink of chaos, and an unexpected showdown loomed over the gathered guests under the darkening sky. With a heavy silence enveloping the crowd, the Prairie Ranger stood firm, his heart racing but his resolve unshaken. Cole's gun glinted ominously in the fading light, and the guests held their breath, unsure of what would happen next. "You think you can intimidate me?" the ranger said, his voice steady despite the fear swirling around him. "I'm not afraid to stand up for what's right, even if it means facing you." Cole sneered, but there was uncertainty in his eyes. The tension was palpable as everyone watched the showdown unfold. The guests began to inch back, creating a wide circle that separated the two men, each one acutely aware of how quickly this could turn into violence. "Put down your gun, Cole," the ranger urged, trying to appeal to whatever sense of reason remained in his rival. "This isn't the way to settle things, especially not today." But Cole's anger flared. He had waited too long for a moment like this. Just then, Mr. Johnson stepped forward from the crowd, his expression fierce. "You won't ruin this day for everyone," he shouted, emboldened by the ranger's bravery. Inspired by his words, other guests joined in, expressing their support for the ranger. In that moment of collective courage, the Prairie Ranger felt a surge of strength from those around him. He knew he had to protect not only himself but also the community that had rallied behind him. With unwavering determination, he faced Cole head-on, ready to defend everything he held dear as darkness enveloped the prairie night. In that tense moment, the Prairie Ranger held his ground, eyes locked on Cole, unwavering and unyielding. The crowd pulsed with a mixture of fear and hope, each person silently offering their support to the ranger. Realizing the weight of the moment, Cole hesitated as he stared into the determined faces around him. "Look at them, Cole," the ranger urged, his voice steady. "This isn't who you are. You don't have to be defined by anger or rivalry." Those words seemed to echo in the silence that followed, prompting a flicker of doubt in Cole's fierce demeanor. Just then, Mr. Johnson stepped forward again. "Let's put this behind us. There's too much at stake here. Families here tonight who care for each other." The guests murmured in agreement, their voices rising in a unified plea for peace. Gradually, the tension began to break, and Cole's grip on his weapon faltered. After what felt like an eternity, he finally lowered his gun with a conflicted expression. It was a small yet powerful gesture that sparked a wave of relief among the crowd. With courage prevailing over hostility, the Prairie Ranger stepped closer to Cole and offered his hand. "Let's work towards something better together," he said genuinely. This unexpected act of kindness triggered a ripple of camaraderie among everyone present. The barriers between past grievances slowly began to dissolve, reinforcing the bonds of friendship and community as they celebrated not just a wedding, but their shared humanity under the vast prairie sky. As harmony returned to the wedding celebration, the Prairie Ranger looked around at the smiling faces of friends and family, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. The chaos of the evening had transformed into a powerful reminder of what truly mattered: love, friendship, and community. He realized that heroism was not just about facing down enemies but also about the strength to reach out to those who had once been adversaries and to embrace them in a spirit of understanding. In that moment, he reflected on his journey, the countless risks he had taken to protect others and the sacrifices made along the way. Each challenge had helped him grow not only as a protector but as a man devoted to his community. As he glanced at his bride, her eyes sparkling with joy, he knew that their marriage symbolized hope for a brighter future where love could triumph over conflict. The guests resumed their festivities with renewed enthusiasm, sharing laughter and dance. Their bonds only grew stronger through their shared experiences of hardship and joy. Amidst it all, the Prairie Ranger felt an unshakable determination within himself. He vowed to continue safeguarding this cherished community while nurturing the spirit of unity that had blossomed that night. As the stars twinkled brightly above, illuminating the prairie sky, it became clear that even amidst trials, love's light shone brilliantly, guiding them all toward a promising tomorrow.